Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Leanne, when
Yeah.
we're doing the presentation, can you monitor the questions, please? And I
Yes.
think you can let people in as well because you're signed in as host. So I think you're also able to let people in. There's nobody in the waiting room right now.
Okay. I'm chat.
I'm going to mute everybody for now. So, right, Scott Brown. Right, I'm going to unmute Leanne and Scott for now. Please unmute yourselves.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. It's just Scott. All right, there we go. Yeah. Okay, everybody. Well, this is Scott's meeting, so I'll let him. Hmm?
I've got a lot of delay. Huge. 10 seconds behind.
Well, do you want to just come and do it in here then? Mm. All right, I'm going to share my wee screen right now. So just we've got a nice wee video to watch.
Uh,
Got the audio on. Why do you want it on?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's better. Well, that's fun. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. I know it's not the best time of day, but hopefully we can all have a drink and have a chit chat. Okay, so this is our third Sargasso meeting. Thank you all for being here. I'd like to establish a couple of things. I think we all can agree that what we're watching on the video, the current state of Half Moon Bay, is something that we don't want to continue with. Is everyone in agreement?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, great. And just to not have to go through everything that we went through in the last two meetings, can we all agree that just doing beach cleanup is probably not the best way forward for the future?
I agree.
Okay. Um, from all the professionals that we've talked to so far, including my meeting with the guys from Oceanish and Dutch Clean Tech and Ocean Biosphere, um, as well as the director of Sofimat and Samernat, everyone's suggesting some sort of way to keep it from coming into the bay as much as possible, as well as um, beach cleanup efforts in order to keep the the massive amounts of Sargasso coming in this year from repeating again next year. So, how do we go about doing that? Give me just a sec.
Just look at that.
Okay, so current beach cleanup, we did have the guys from Sofimat come in yesterday. They worked from about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, filled two containers, probably took away 40, 50 cubic meters of Sargasso, which really kind of barely put a dent in what's out there right now. So for the current state of things,
Mm.
I need to unmute. Okay. I mean, unfortunate as the state of things is, we all really need to get together and start cleaning in front of our buildings. And I know I keep saying this, but there's just not any other way out of this. Save something that we can't plan for, like a storm, which we're not guaranteed. So our buildings do need to start taking action, and our building included, because we're not cleaning the beach either. But we all do need to start chipping away at this. Most of that sargasso out there doesn't have a lot of sand in it. It's been sitting at the water's edge, but it is thick and heavy and wet and mucky, and it's going to be a long battle cleaning all this up and getting ready for the winter months. The amount coming in has slowed down, luckily. And we did get some wave action last week, which is helping to kind of break up some of what's there. But we do need to start tackling it. And I'm sure I sound like a broken record saying that, but it's going to be the only way forward. I am still trying to get pricing on like things that will help reduce costs, like containers, which would help to reduce disposal costs. Possibly a new pumping system that would pump sargasso and filter out the water, put the water back in the bay. But I don't have anything solid on that right now. Sorry, I just keep watching the video over and over again, like I haven't seen it every day.
It's actually worse this year. This one was from a previous year.
Yeah. But I mean, it's very similar. And I was out there on the beach for several hours yesterday, and I watched I, we were dealing with an accident on the bay, and there were police there and stuff, and one of the cops stepped too far into the berm and lost his shoe in about 2 feet of muck. So I jumped in because I was in shorts and barefoot, and pulled it out for him. But it's gross. It's really gross. Okay, why don't we go to questions? I know we've reviewed a lot of information, and then George and Mike and I did that meeting with Oceanus and Ocean Biosphere and Dutch Clean Tech and a couple of other companies, just to get their opinion on the situation, and because they work in this industry, I really wanted to get their professional opinions on how to move forward. So yeah, Elias,
So, do we have any estimates of cost yet?
like for the future or for current cleanup?
Both, either.
Current cleanup, we have Juan and his trucks and guys, which at our 2,600 pesos plus IVA per truckload. And he can move about 5 cubic meters at a time. That they take about an hour or two to fill up a truck. So he just bought a second truck. He can start moving on things. It's not going to be the most cost effective, I don't think, but it's the only option that we have quotes on right now. So I'm still checking on other things, but that's kind of the buildings that are currently cleaning. That's what they're using basically. Of one of like 2 or 3 cleanup crews basically in trucks.
And Sofamat and the government, the Navy or whomever, any word from them if they're able to come back or
Nothing yet. I I am hoping, and I will stay on them. It's actually Yvonne that's got most of the contact there. Because he knows them well. He helps train their beach cleanup crew as to how to best practices. But I'm in direct contact with the director of SOFIMAT as well. I sent him our thanks late yesterday, and he's responsive, but I just don't have any confirmation on when we could get another crew out. Hopefully
And,
soon.
and one thing I'm not sure about, the barrier that we have, is that
Mhm.
still functional or is that not functional? And can we put it up?
Marike, do you want to talk about that?
Yes, I do. Yes, the barrier is functional. The barrier sustained some damage from a storm last year. And so what we need to do is repair it, which is relatively straightforward to do. It is now too late to put the barrier out for 2025. Like there's too much seaweed on the beach. I mean, like it will stop some of it coming in, but what we need to do is repair it. The issue, we would have repaired it last year because we were, even with the repairs, we were still operating within our quoted budget from the beginning of the year. But what we had was quite severe inconsistency in payments last year. So in the end, the amount that was committed to wasn't the amount that EPA received. So what's happened now is the barrier's sitting in secure dry storage right now. And when we're ready to put it back out, we'll get it repaired and we'll put it out. But we can't put it out tomorrow, like it's not ready. So yeah.
What's the estimated cost to put it back up?
So I'm going to come to that in my presentation, but we won't get it fixed and out. We're now almost at the beginning of August. So it's too late now, to get it out. And also all that on the beach, it's not the barrier can't take the seaweed off the beach. The bays.
No, understood, but it might keep because we can spend all this time and money cleaning the beach, and then the next wave of Sargassum comes and mix it up.
We need time to. What we want to do is fix it properly. We don't want to have to go and get pieces from Home Depot to patch it together because this is a barrier that has to withstand the open ocean. So what we'll do is we'll purchase the pieces from the supplier who's in Europe and they'll send it. So that's what we need to do. But it's not something that we can do next week because it takes time. And also we need the community to back that up as well. And that takes time too.
And what was the initial cost for that barrier? Do you remember?
The initial? Yeah. So I think we paid, it was about $500,000 it cost to purchase it. And it's paid in full.
Dollars or pesos?
Dollars, US dollars. It's nearly a kilometer of barrier and it's designed for open ocean. So like it was the best one available on the market. And I think didn't the Oceanus guys comment on it, Scott? Scott?
Sorry. Yes. Sorry, I was muted. Yes, they did. During our meeting with them, which is on the YouTube channel, for everyone to see, they talked about it and recommended that as as the best available configuration for what we need based on winds and currents and all that stuff.
We bought the heaviest duty one available on the market, because it needs to withstand open ocean. So we didn't go for a cheap one. We bought, a really good quality one. So that's good. It'll stand us in good stead for years to come. So if that's what we collectively want to do.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So
do we have the video from a couple of days ago or?
Yeah, I have it. The one that I posted.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see where it is. It's this one, I think, isn't it? There we are. Yeah, so this is this week. And the video is deceptive. It makes the berms look a lot smaller than they are. To put it in perspective, these berms are 5 feet high.
it's the same video, babe.
Huh?
Yeah, we're still seeing the same.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Hang on a sec. Hang on.
Who's sharing screen?
Right, hang on. Let me just share this one.
Yeah, you're sharing your web browser.
How about
There you
now?
go. That's
Okay.
the one. Yeah.
Right, so this is Half Moon Bay this week.
Yeah.
As I said, these berms are 5 foot high. Some of them, Scott, you were standing in there, and some of them are as high as your head.
Up at Tortuga,
Yeah.
up in front of our building. It's never been that high there before.
No, but
And
these are the same, if not taller. These are the center of the bay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I didn't want to walk out into the water there, but yeah, no,
You don't want
it's
the skin
really,
fungus that would
it's
result from
really
that.
thick. It is really thick.
There's no way to estimate how much it would cost to remove all this.
Yeah.
Scott asked Juan for a quote, didn't you?
Yeah, but I mean, he's quoting per truckload. Like that's his quote.
Per
Like,
truckload.
He's not giving us a big picture quote. I mean,
how would you figure it out? I mean, you have to.
We work it out.
This math.
Well, and it would be ongoing work too. I mean,
Right.
it would be basically if he did one truckload per day or one truckload every other day at every property. I mean, like that would actually be too much of a workload for him across, 22 lots. So just for one crew. So we would actually need multiple service providers or one to get more trucks and more guys, just to tackle it ongoing for the rest of the season.
And do we know when the season ends? I mean, do we have dates that from previous years?
Yeah, usually September. Usually around September.
Okay.
There's a really, hang on, I'll pause this. There's a really big influx coming in right now, like a really large one. So hang on, let me just share this. Let me just find it and share it with you guys so you can see what we're dealing with for this year. Hang on. Right.
Okay. So Eos just shared on the chat for the group that Roger's available per truckload for 2,320 pesos, tax included. So that's like 2,000 pesos plus tax. I'm not sure if it's the same size truck, but that's a comparable quote at least, which is great. Can
Right,
hear
hang
me?
on, I'm gonna share this really quickly. Hang on, you guys.
I think you
Right,
need to stop sharing one window. Yeah. Yes.
You can see it.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. So this is a bulletin. This is for June. They'll be about to release one for July as well on what's coming. So can you see my cursor? Is that visible?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yes, we can.
We are here, right? All of this is what's coming.
It's like that army of like 1 million soldiers.
Oh, like and so to see how it compares to previous years. So
what's the one to the left there on the bottom?
This was last month.
Oh,
so
wow.
The density is reducing a little bit, but there's still just a ton coming in. If we look at June in previous years, like look at June 2016, for example.
Yeah.
2021 was a heavy year, so was 2022.
Yeah. Well, 2016, 2016, we didn't get hardly anything.
No, last year, like this is June 2024 compared to June 2025.
Yeah.
There's significantly more coming in. They've said that this is the heaviest year on record, the heaviest year. This is double what the last really heavy year was 2018, which is this one here. So you can see there was a lot there. They're forecasting based on, they use satellite imagery. The colors here show density. So that's how thick it is, how thick the Sargassum mat is. And they are forecasting that this year we're going to receive double what we received in 2018. So yeah, it's a lot of seaweed.
I mean, it's an uphill battle, and how do we even begin to control this year?
There are things that we can do because other places are doing them and they're working. There's no way to stop it happening. But the solution is not to do nothing because it's causing so many problems. It's causing massive beach erosion without shoveling it. Even that, like our beach has barely removed any this year. Although,
can we go back to your video? I just want to point something out.
Yeah.
Do you have the video from this year?
This one?
Yeah. So as it pans around to show the beach, there's been this long debate about whether we leave it on the beach or take it away, which one causes more erosion. And like after 10 years, I mean, cleanup crews have figured out how to take away a lot less sand. Can you pause right? No.
You want me to pause it?
Go back just a little bit. I want to show where the beach is starting to taper off from the weight of the Sargasso dragging it down. Right there.
I think it's there. There?
Right there. Yeah. So see on the far left there, the beach tapers off about 2 feet, where at the season, it was just a gradual slope down. Now it's kind of doing this, or probably this, where the weight of leaving the Sargasso on the beach, and I dug around into a lot of articles and ChatGPT and stuff, trying to figure out why is it cutting down into the sand, and it's actually the weight of the accumulated Sargasso is pulling all that sand down. And then the wave action is, oh, thank you. That's perfect. And that's in front of La Bahia, where it's clearly cutting into the beach right there.
And they haven't removed anything at all. None.
Right. And so all that weight is pushing all that down. And then at the front of the berm, the waves are hitting the berm, but because it's creating sort of a semi-solid wall, it's actually digging sand out from underneath as well. So it's going to be really interesting. If we start taking measurements, like say from our building walls or from our palapas out to the high tide line or low tide line, it's going to be really interesting to start tracking how large our beach is. Marike made a little time-lapse video from some satellite imagery from Google Earth over the last 15 years, and it shows the drastic change of the amount of sand in our coastline on our bay.
And even if there's a large storm and takes it away, most likely will take a lot of the sand away with it.
Yeah. So storms are kind of tricky because storms can take a lot of beach with them, or they could potentially bring us sand. So that's sort of a hit or miss. But I mean, historically, they do erode beach over time for sure.
Can I just say one really quick thing about storms? Because several people have said, well, we'll just wait for a storm, wait for a hurricane. In the last 20 years in Akumal, we have received 5 hurricanes in 20 years.
And they've been very small.
Yeah. And in fact, we caught the very edge of one in 2007, and then we didn't get any at all until 2020. So we went 13 years with no hurricane at all. Yeah. So, we can't rely on hurricanes to clean our beach. We've only had 5 in 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great bonus if a small storm comes in and cleans the beach, for sure. But that can't be part of the plan. We need to develop a plan.
I mean, just carrying it out, it just seems so overwhelming. Almost, if we could push it back in and use those pumps that Ocean
Biosphere,
mentioned, that might be a better strategy to be able to, because manpower is expensive and takes time, and people get tired. So pushing it into the ocean little by little and then sucking it up seems like a better strategy. Right. And I think during the video on YouTube, they said that they wouldn't be covered by their grant that they're given for this year, but they might be able to do something this year. We would have to pay for it. Did they ever tell us what it would cost or what they're?
Yeah. So I'm still waiting on cost for that. I really like the idea of what they're doing. I just don't know. I'm just waiting for costs. I'd love to see them come in and just start vacuuming up all the Sargasso. I mean, it could be a lot more efficient for sure. But we need to look at cost as soon as I get that from them.
Mm-hmm. So is there any I mean, this job is overwhelming. It looks to me like it needs heavy equipment of some kind to come in to try to remove what we have right now, because it's so labor intensive. It takes so long. Is there anything available out there that's we can fit onto the beach that we could all pay for to remove this? Or
yes, but it isn't. We tried with bobcats in the past, but our beach at the time, well, that we had at the time, the Nicty and Nicty Ha condos had not been built when we tried with the bobcats. Our beach has quite a steep incline, and also it's quite squishy. You know, it's not like those nice flat beaches that they have up in Cancun and in Playa del Carmen, and even Tulum, their beach is quite flat. So what we found with the bobcat is that it was tipping. And also since then, we've lost even more beach. So we can't have anything large on the beach. You know, we still do get the odd turtle nest as well that we need to factor in too. So we can't have anything heavy driving over the top of the sand where there might be turtle nests. But there is an option that we've been looking at. Do you want me to present what we have and you guys can see what you think?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Right. Okay, let me just get that for you. Okay. Right, let me just hang on. I've got a million things open on my screen now. Okay. Right, let's see. That doesn't like me to do. Right. Okay, can everyone see that? Yeah?
Yes.
Right, so as a community, we have been working on this, like as you know, there's been a group of us working on this for 10 years now. The problem started in 2011, but we started working in force in 2015. So it's been a 10-year journey for us so far. There's quite a large group from our community that have been working on this over the years. So it's not like one or two people. There's a lot of people that have contributed to this, and putting huge man hours into research, consultation with technical specialists, coastal management specialists, consultations with the government and the environmental departments of the government, with the marine, the Navy, and the port captains, everybody who's got really good experience with how our water systems work here in the Caribbean and how, the beaches work, and also environmental, because what we want to make sure is that, we're doing right by the environment. As you guys know, the state of Quintana Roo declared this an environmental emergency in 2019. There's now legislation currently going through the Senate to make it a federal emergency. They're a bit slower on it, but they recognize that Sargassum is causing massive damage to the ecosystem. I don't need to tell you guys, you've seen the videos, right? Our bay is dark brown. It's like mud rolling in. So so what we've looked at is this is an expensive solution, right? There's no cheap way to get rid of Sargassum. There isn't. So what we're looking at is the most cost-effective way for our community to do it. There's lots of providers out there who are providing solutions to this. There are people who are setting up commercially to handle this because it's a big problem, so there's business in it. A lot of these are companies that have been around for a really long time. They're surface containment specialists. So they contain things like oil spills, garbage patches at sea, jellyfish, that kind of thing. So that's how this started. And we've consulted with probably a dozen of those, of which 5 of them have come to North Akumal to advise us on different solutions that we can use. And that's how we ultimately came down to the project that we're proposing. So the project that we're proposing hasn't been tested in full because we first got, but let me go through this. Let me go through this first of all and explain where we are, and then explain what the potential solution is. And you guys can let me know what you think and ask any questions. Right, so how much seaweed do we need to clean up? And Elias, you were asking about that. How much is out there? How much do we need to clean up? there's a lot of seaweed out there. And as you can see, this is data that we've collected since 2018. And it comes from back in the early days, a lot of big buildings, several buildings on the bay were trying really hard to keep up with it. And they invested huge amounts of money in, in the removal of Sargassum. So this data has come from their removal data. You'll see there's a dip in 2020. For some reason, 2020 hardly had any Sargassum. I don't know why. I mean, we know that was the pandemic year. There was all sorts of interesting environmental things happened. There were more whale sharks around the Yucatan that year. There was no cruise ships. There was no human activity right through that summer, really, because we were all on lockdown. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it that year. But other than 2020, you can see that line is consistently going up. Yeah? Does anybody have any questions so far?
Yeah. So that on the high end, that's 30,000 cubic meters.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's 30,000 cubic meters for our bay, just our bay. 30,000, like that's a lot of seaweed. That's a huge amount of seaweed. And if you can imagine how long that would take to clear up with trucks that are 5 cubic meters each, how many trucks do we need? Like really cleaning up what's coming in, 100% of what's coming in is unattainable. Like there's just not enough trucks. There's just not enough guys. It's too much. We need a different solution. So this data has come from, as I said, live data from Half Moon Bay that we've collected over the years. And
6,000 trucks.
Huh? 6,000 trucks.
6,000 trucks, right? Between May and September. Sometimes a lot of the data is showing that these buildings were cleaning up seaweed starting in February on more years than you'd think. So, when we think that the seaweed season is May to September, actually it's not. Many years it's more than that. And I know that a lot of you will have seen seaweed. I've seen 3 feet of seaweed on the beach on Christmas Day on occasion. It's not common, but it has happened. Yeah, So we have a sort of season. We can't guarantee that season will continue to be like that. What we're seeing is every year there's more coming in. So that 2025
without a barrier.
Without a barrier.
Slow it down or deflect it.
Well, that's where I'm going with this, right? So like what we're seeing are volumes on the beach that are unmanageable, 4,000 trucks, right? How much is a truck? So a truck with EVA is 3,016 pesos to clean.
Or potentially a little less.
Right? So no, it's not. A truck is 2,600 pesos plus 16% EVA is 3,016 pesos.
Right.
Times 6,000.
Huh?
Times 6,000. That would be the amount to.
Right.
Yeah.
So this year's a record-breaking year. What we're doing is we're using 2021 as a basis. So that year we got about 20,000 cubic meters on the bay. It was about 900 cubic meters per lot. So when we're with our calculations here, we've used 2021 as our baseline. Hoping that this year was an anomaly and it'll come back down. Like if it turns out that line's just going to keep going straight back up, then we'll need to make some adjustments. But based on all of the previous years, we're looking at about 20,000 cubic meters per season. All right, so based on those numbers, so 19,350 cubic meters, it would cost us, and I'm going to do this approximately in US dollars because I think most of us find it easier to work in USD. We're looking at about $650,000 to clean our bay, right? And it would be 3,870 truckloads. It would be, that's what to handle it as it's coming in right now, year on year with an average, then that's what it would cost us, which is just other than the number being astronomical, to try and get that many truckloads going through and cleaning up. And also the other problem is that we have inconsistency between buildings. So what we've been looking for is a strategy that help to reduce the amount of seaweed coming onto our bay. So how much do we have to clean if we're using an offshore intervention such as a deflection barrier? So here we go. If we don't have the barrier, we're looking at about $650,000 or about $30,000 per building in the high impact zone per season. $30,000. If we put a barrier out, and the barrier is forecast to deflect between 60 and 70% of the seaweed back out to sea, then that radically reduces the amount that's coming in and therefore the cost to clean it up. So if we're extra conservative, we say that it will deflect 50% back out to sea. And that drops the cleaning cost down to about $15,000 for the season per building, which is just about, if you average it out over the months, just over $1,000 a month per building.
Per building. Yeah.
Per building, yeah. So if we think that the barrier is going to come in between 60 and 70%, so I just want to explain that there is no perfect solution. There is no solution available in existence that will keep 100% of the seaweed off the beach, right? There's every solution. There'll be a way that the seaweed gets in. Our barrier keeps the seaweed out when the wind is blowing in its prevailing pattern, right? So normally the wind's coming from the east or the southeast during the summer months, and the barrier is very effective against the wind. If we have a southerly wind, sometimes some seaweed will blow in the south end of the barrier. If we have a northerly wind, sometimes it will blow in the northern end or the northeasterly wind, and some will come in that way. So it will definitely have some seaweed coming into the bay. Like, there's no way to prevent 100% of it, but our aim is to deflect as much as possible back out of the bay. Yeah, away from the bay. Both ends of the barrier are open. The reason for this is that if any seaweed does come in the bay and we have a really lucky time where we have a westerly wind, which accounts for about 4% of the summer or the year, I believe, and the seaweed blows towards the barrier, we want it to be able to get out and continue on its merry way down the coast. So we have a north-south current. So anything that blows out there will catch the current and it will be swept along. We've actually got some videos of it working. Let me just show you this. Hang on a sec. Let me just show you this just really quickly. Right. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So this is a time-lapse photograph showing the barrier installed. And as you can you see the white barrier there? And then you see the end of it, and you see the seaweeds continuing off up the coast. And the reason is there's a pretty strong current there. So you can see the waves are blowing into the bay. They're rolling into the bay, and a lot of that is the seaweed comes in via wind action. You can see that there is some seaweed on the inside, because sometimes that will happen. But the majority of the seaweed is being blocked by the barrier, and it's continuing up the coast. So this is what we're aiming for. We're aiming to deflect it. The barrier will not collect the seaweed, it will deflect it. Let me just see if I've got some other ones that are good for like this. So here's another example of the barrier functioning. This is the other end of the barrier. And you can see that the seaweed is continuing on its merry way to the south on this occasion. Here's another example of it working. So this is our barrier out in our bay functioning, right? This was the year before last. And this was not long after we'd installed it. So you can see that the mats are being intercepted by the barrier, and then the current is keeping the seaweed moving on. Right, let me go back to the presentation. Okay, hang on. All right, did we get back to the presentation again? Hang on.
Yes.
People are coming in. All right. Okay, so what we're proposing is a barrier to keep as much seaweed out of the bay as possible so that what comes in is manageable. Does that make sense so far?
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's what I think.
But it can't be just a barrier.
No. What we're learning is, because what happens as well is if the barrier doesn't keep 100% of the seaweed out, which we know it doesn't, it keeps a good 60 to 70% out, but there's still going to be a good 30 to 40% that comes in. If we leave it to accumulate on the beach, we're back to square one again. So the solution has to be a combination of barrier and beach cleanup.
I agree.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
we're thinking is if we can get it to 60 or 70%, then that means that the beach cleanup with using trucks, right? Using our current method would drop to about $10,000 for the year per building. So if you divvy that up, that's, you know, less than $1,000 a month, which in a building with 10 condos is probably going to be about $100 a month. And that's just for the cleanup, not for the barrier. So what we want to do is put together a proposal with a deflection barrier, a holistic beach cleanup program. And what this means is we want to centralize the beach cleanup, because what we've seen up until now is some buildings are really diligent with their beach cleanup and some are a bit sporadic and some are doing nothing at all. And over the years, the people who have been really diligent with their beach cleanup and spent a lot of money on it have become really disheartened, because not only are they cleaning up their own seaweed that's arriving on their beach, but also the neighbor's seaweed is washing into their space too. And you know, there's not any traction happening. So what we need is one group who are going to clean the whole beach, right? From the whole impact. Yep. So what we're talking about is from La Buena Vida all the way up to La Mirage condos. So to clean the whole beach. So what we're proposing is this. So it's going to be a deflection barrier that costs us $90,000 a year. Holistic beach cleanup, $90,000 a year. And then for the first year, we need to buy the equipment. And what we're planning to buy, and we're doing this based on learnings from other communities, are ATVs with trailers. So we're going to buy 2 ATVs with trailers, and we're going to hire a crew full time to operate them. So we're never short of staff. You know, we're never getting a situation where I just can't find anyone to come and do it. Like, we've got the guys on our payroll to do it for the whole season. So that project then for 2026 is going to cost 3.78 million pesos, which is approximately $210,000. I approximate this to be for, you know, people are like, well, what's it going to cost me? So if you've got a 2-bedroom condo on Half Moon Bay, depending how many people participate on this, because we don't have a compulsory HOA, so we can't force people to do it, you're looking at about $150 to $200 US per month per 2-bedroom condo to get this done. And that will be
That's
a barrier.
for 12 months.
Yeah, spread over 12 months.
So
yeah.
$2,400. Okay.
$2,400 for the year, right? For the year.
Right.
For a 2-bedroom condo. And that's not just the barrier, it's the beach cleanup as well. So it's the whole shebang. You know, you don't have to worry, you don't have to rely on your property manager to you know, try and get a crew in, and then, you know, the crews are all busy and that kind of thing. Like, this will just be taken care of. Using ATVs will make it much faster than trying to shovel it up and take it out by wheelbarrow. And we will use containers instead of trucks, because the containers we can get at a better price because they're larger, and they're about 20,000 cubic meters. No, 20 cubic meters for a container as opposed to 5 for a truck. So it's the economies of scale. If we do it together as a community like this and just have one entity running the whole thing, it's much better on price because we're getting economies of scale on the price there. The first year
I could save 2 weeks worth of rental over the whole year would pay for an investment.
Yes. And that's an interesting point actually there. I've examined data from rentals over the last 10, 15 years, and I compared years prior to Sargassum to the years that we have the Sargassum. And most recently I compared 2014 to 2024. And the average condo in a high impact zone in Half Moon Bay has lost 75% of their summer rentals. So I was looking at May 1st to September 30th. 10 years ago, they were doing way more. They were doing a lot more in rentals than they are now, to the tune of about between $5,000 and $7,000 of income. So there's $5,000 to $7,000 worth of income that's been lost to Sargassum and per condo. And I anticipate that with this solution, it should cost about $2,400 a year per condo. Well, I can't give you an exact number because what we need to do is see how many people are participating on it. The more people who participate, the lower individual cost it's going to be to each of us, right?
Start button.
No, I'm doing
right
it on
there.
Well, because it
Right
shows
there.
your whole screen.
Well, who cares?
Okay.
You're gonna,
Nobody cares, do they? Right?
Can I ask a question?
well, there's comments on the side and plus it'll be bigger if you do the slideshow. It's on the right.
I know, but then it won't let me do the screen share if I do that. Hang on.
All right.
Hang on, let me try the slideshow and see if you can see it.
Hold on. Elias has a question.
Yes. Sorry. I don't want to change the mood or deflect a little bit, but if we put the deflector and the wind is blowing north or east
Right.
north, everything will come into Yalku.
Right. I've got something for you there, Elias. Hang on, let me show you this. I have anticipated that comment.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
and I would just say from 2023, because I did the vast majority of the drone monitoring 5 to 6 days a week, very little actually went into Yalku Lagoon, and I've got photos and video of that.
Right,
Yeah,
check this out. Hang on. Right.
Some small amount does, but actually most of it's going off to the north.
Right, look at this. This is an actual photo of what happens to the seaweed that goes to the north. And if I zoom in, can you see this?
Yeah.
It goes like this, and then the outflow from Yalku Lagoon pushes it back out again. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
So-
we just had a record amount this year when we were down there. Even Yalku was, you couldn't swim in Yalku. There was so much. Yalku was, the lagoon itself was full of Sargasso.
Right.
So,
And there was no barrier installed this year at all. So that's just seaweed blowing straight into Yalku.
Right. So we do get a fair amount. I'm just, wondering if it's deflected from Half Moon Bay, how much more would make it in? Because it does make it in. Yes, some of it washes away from the outgoing of it flows back and forth all day. And so if we add more to it, it just seems that everything's going to get, not everything, but a lot of it might get stuck into the bay there.
Yeah.
It's
a fair point.
Yeah, it is a fair point. And it's something that we've been monitoring because it was a concern that we had when we started this project, when we were working through this project. What we didn't want to do was dump our problems somewhere else.
Right.
What we're finding most of the time is Yalku Lagoon flows out into the sea. What we have problems with is when it's really windy, wind will carry it in. But then on the same note, again, the flow will carry some of it out. When it's really heavy like it is right now, it's going to come in, but it's coming in everywhere,
Right.
But yeah, it's the barrier itself is not directing the seaweed into Yalku, as we can see from this year. Yalku receives it naturally, from the wind. And in general, the seaweed doesn't flow into Yalku from when it's being diverted to the north. It continues up.
Yeah, because we're trying to figure out how to clean out the Yalku Bay also.
Yeah.
At the same time that this is happening, it's like, okay, we have to set some money aside to see what we can do in Yalku, because there's only 12 to 15 homes there. So we're kind of on the outside, trying to figure out our own little problem there.
Yeah, and it's something that we should all get together and work on as well, really. Because it is a big issue, and we really should help protect that too.
Yeah, because I have some photos that are just overwhelming amounts of sargassum that nobody can swim, nobody can do anything there.
This year's been horrendous everywhere, horrendous. There is the potential option, if we decide to as a community, is to invest in some more barrier to protect Yalku Lagoon as well.
Right.
That's a possibility if people wanted it.
Right.
Yeah? Okay. All right, let me go back to this presentation. Okay, so that's what it costs, right? This is what this project costs. We're not breaking it down per condo. We're not breaking it down per building because it costs what it costs. So anyone who's going to present a solution to us is going to give us a price for it. And then we as a community need to just find a way to make that work, right? So that's what it costs. Next year, sorry, 2027, the following year, the budget will be less because we won't need the capital investment. The capital investment is like the quad bikes, and that we've got protective equipment for the beach cleanup guys and that kind of stuff. We won't have that same thing. So I anticipate that the following year, the monthly will be somewhere between 125 to 150 US dollars per condo to have this done. But for 2026, it's going to be somewhere between 150 and 200, depending on how many people participate. The more people that participate, the better it is for all of us because we get a lower amount. You know, it costs less, right? There's more people sharing the load. So currently, it's costing us $33.50 per cubic meter to remove Sargassum from Half Moon Bay. With this solution, this combined solution of beach cleanup and a barrier, we can clean up that same amount of seaweed, and that's based on about 19,350 cubic meters, which is 2021 numbers, for $10.85 approximately. We're using US dollars again, just an indicative price here because most people operate in US dollars. All of our expenses are billed in pesos, so all billing will be in pesos, not in dollars, right? So the exchange rate can do what it wants. We're calculating this on an exchange rate of 18 pesos to the dollar. So if the peso weakens against the dollar, if it goes back up into the 20s, then the price is better for us, right? If it doesn't, if it stays 18, that's what it is. Yeah, so using this solution will reduce the cost of managing the seaweed that we're receiving by 2/3. It will cost only 1/3 of what it would cost to manage it just by shoveling it off the beach and putting it in trucks. Responsibilities, the EPA will undertake with an integrated solution. They'll manage the entire process. They'll hire the staff. The staff will be hired properly. They'll be paid social security. They'll be given protective equipment. They'll be fed lunch. They'll be given full training for this project by professionals who are experienced in coastal management and how this works. They will be ATVs and trailers. That's how this proposal is being set up. We're waiting also for the numbers on the guy with the suction, you know, with the pumps and suction. Like, we have no idea what that's going to cost. But I think that would be a great option because it removes it even faster. One of the issues that we're having potentially with this is beach access, because there's almost no beach access left on Half Moon Bay. We're in discussions with one owner of an empty lot right now to work out what that would cost for beach access. But basically, this is what we're looking at. Containers for removal. So containers are better than trucks because we fill them up. We're anticipating that we'll fill a container every second day. So the containers aren't going to be sitting there stinky. If for any reason there is sargassum that is starting to smell, we're going to use the organic biological spray to remove the smell from them. Legal disposal of the sargassum. Obviously, we're obligated by the federal government and the municipal government to dispose of it correctly because it's pretty toxic and it poisons the aquifer. So we've got to be conscious of that. I mentioned safety equipment for workers. These include boots, pants, sun protection, hats, and also masks so that they're not being exposed to the hydrogen sulfide gas in a dangerous way. Project management, office and equipment rental, all of the things that we need to do for this. For the barrier, it will include boats for deployment and removal of the barrier, all necessary manpower and equipment to maintain the barrier and ensure its proper functionality. We have crews going out every week to inspect the barrier and make sure that nothing's come loose, that everything's in good working order. You know, what we don't want to do is wait until there's a problem. So we're proactive with the management and the maintenance of the barrier. There are procedures in place for if there's a hurricane or a storm. If there's a hurricane, we'll remove it. Our budget allows for 1 hurricane removal per year and then redeployment after the hurricane is gone. Based on there being five hurricanes in the last 20 years, we think that that's a reasonable number to budget on, 1 a year. We had an issue last year with a squall that came in while we were in the middle of trying to deploy the barrier. It takes a couple of days. We were trying to deploy the barrier in July because we'd had some issues with some members of the community reporting it to Zofamat. Zofamat did their inspections on the barrier that did a 10-month investigation and found that the complaints were baseless and told us to put our barrier back out again. So it went out too late in the year last year. What we're planning to do in 2026 is deploy it in February, so before any seaweed starts arriving on the beach and before the weather conditions change to that stormy summer weather, so we can deploy it without, you know, putting our crews in danger and without problems of an unexpected squall coming in. Maintain the beach for all properties affected by seaweed in the high impact zone. So we'll be maintaining the beach from La Buena Vida up to La Mirage. That would be the scope. Obviously, if we've got resource, we'll do more than that, because this year it went way up past that. It was all the way up at Yule Canal. So, but usually most years it's not as far up as that. It's really La Buena Vida to La Mirage. We also, when we say clean the beach, it's never going to be 100%, because what we are very conscious of is beach erosion. So the strategy is to leave a small pile at the water's edge that will dry, you know, that can dry. And then we won't be taking that bottom layer of sand out. It shouldn't smell. If there's any smell issues whatsoever, we'll spray it with the spray. And that should help with beach erosion there. But it should be small, like enough for somebody to easily step over, and no rotting seaweed in the bay.
Hi, Margaret. I have a couple of questions, if you wouldn't
Yes.
mind. On the ATVs, so are you guys planning on having any sort of equipment connected to the back, almost like
Yes.
a tiller or a combine, or?
No, it'll be trailers. So we can't, our beach is too small for any of those big beach rakes. Like the largest machinery we can get on the beach is an ATV, and it will run along the water line, but they will be pulling trailers, and the trailers are what will fill up with the Sargassum, and it's much faster. And then we'll be taking those trailers, there'll be 2 guys filling the trailers and then taking it to a container where there'll be a 3rd guy there to help. And what the plan is that we'll have 2 ATVs and 4 trailers. And so once they'll fill one trailer, take it to the container, and then they'll hitch up the other trailer and take it back out. And meanwhile, that guy will offload that trailer into the container. So that's the plan for this. Any larger equipment won't fit on our bay, unfortunately. It's not an option for us.
So, yeah, and I was just doing a quick Google, because they have like tillers and things that you can walk behind, and they have smaller attachments that can go behind ATVs that aren't huge.
Okay.
I just wonder if that's something that's potentially feasible.
Yes.
And I know that ATVs have different types of wheels. Obviously, living in Colorado, we have to have chains for snow.
Right.
So chains might be something that could possibly work with the squishiness of the Sargassum. And I do know that, I know they make them for gators. I don't know if they make them for ATVs, but they're almost like
tank tracks.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. We've looked into those as well. So if this project goes forward, then what we'll do is find the best possible solution. They're using ATVs in South Akumal and also in Solomon Bay, and it's working well for them there. So that's why we're looking at the ATV and trailer solution, because they've been successful in 2 of our neighboring communities. So, but that's a really good point. Thank you so much, Christy, for raising that.
Sure. And also something along the lines with the current cleanup, they do have like, it's almost like tilling up a garden.
Yeah.
So I've heard that the Sargassum is really, really hard. Is that, just to throw that out there, is that something worth looking into, to rent kind of a tiller, kind of break up that Sargassum to make it easier to load?
Yeah,
you don't have to answer now. I'll just throw that out there.
The plan is that from 2026 onwards, we'll never have a situation where we've got those big rotten berms again. You know, like anything that comes in will be fresh and will be removed straight, you know, very quickly. But for this year, that is a really good suggestion. And Scott, do you want to make a note of that so we can look into possible solutions?
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely check that out. I mean, I have noticed, and from past years when we've like personally helped out in beach cleanup projects, it's almost easier having these big berms to just kind of like take a pitchfork and tear it apart in chunks because it's all compacted. It kind of stays together. It's heavy, of course, but it might be almost easier to remove that way. Now, if we're able to trial out this pumping system, if it's cost effective for us for this year, which I'm really interested in, we could potentially break them up and then suction them up out of the water. So that is a possibility as well.
But I think that's a really good idea about
for sure,
a tilling system as well.
Yeah, I've got it on my list.
But for next year onwards, the goal is that we never get to this situation again where our beach looks like it currently does.
Which is
We lost
awesome.
your sound.
And also something else along with for this year, maybe
Oh,
some
that was just me.
conveyor belt.
Yes.
Yeah, just because, I mean, lifting up and hurting people's backs. And I think that's why it's hard to get workers out there. It's backbreaking work.
Yeah, there is a conveyor system that has been discussed as well. And it's a modular thing. Like we're looking at pricing for it, but it's like it's almost like it's a conveyor belt that you can move between buildings. So you can work on a part of the beach and load it all on there and zip it through to where the container is on the other side and load it like that. So that's a really good suggestion, and it is something that we are already looking at.
Okay.
Do we have right of ways yet on any of the empty properties to move this equipment through?
No, there's no legal right of ways at all on the.
How do we get this to the?
We're in negotiations right now with a property owner who has an empty lot, and so he wants paid. Obviously, he wants paid for it. So what we need to do is just negotiate a reasonable rate for it. So that's where we are. But he has agreed to let us trial our solution for a month at no cost. So that's how we would do it. But what we've been doing is the only way to do it is to use an empty lot. There's not many left. And there is one owner who is open to us doing that. We just need to negotiate the terms of that with him. Does that help?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Right. So that's the point. That's what we're trying to do. The beach never gets to the state that it's in right now. Anything coming in is fresh. There's never Sargassum on the beach that's more than 2 or 3 days old. We don't have the piles. Okay. So the integrated solution includes the following. Use of donated boats, a project manager to oversee the project, monitor the barrier, weather and effectiveness of the configuration, staff for deployment, removal and maintenance, repair of the barrier and spare parts, off-season storage and security. Because remember, when the barrier is not in the water, we pay rent for a secure location. It's not dumped somewhere in the jungle. Like it's in a secure location, a dry location. Off-season storage and security, transportation to and from the storage facility, use of existing monitoring equipment, liaison with relevant government officials for permissions and permitting when necessary. We are absolutely compliant with the government. Absolutely. We don't lift a finger without being completely compliant with them first. We have a really good relationship with them. They know our project inside out. And and as I said, an investigation was carried out last year, which lasted for 10 months. 2 different levels of government investigated this project, and both of them deemed it to be completely compliant with the regulations, and any claims against it had been baseless and they were dropped. There was no action for us to do following that. There were no fines, nothing. So ATVs, trailers for beach cleanup. So we'll buy them. The ATVs will be serviced every year. The trailers will be maintained. Full-time ATV drivers and part-time staff for cleanup 6 days a week. We'll have a core staff, and then we'll ramp that staff up in bad times, and then obviously when it's not that heavy and our core staff can do it, then, we can just run with the core staff. The core staff must have protective gear. We talked about this on a previous meeting. The conditions these guys are being exposed to are unacceptable, and it's, getting quite a lot of media coverage now as well, which it rightly should be. So this plan would be to make sure these guys were fully kitted out with protective gear, including boots, masks, gloves, sun protection. We'll have a spray to mitigate fumes during cleanup because we don't want them inhaling all that hydrogen sulfide gas. Social security and lunch for the full-time staff, so they're employed properly. Property rental for access to the beach for equipment and removal. That's what I just mentioned. There's a guy who has a lot who will let us access the beach through his lot, but we have to rent it. But that's included in our proposal. ATV fuel and maintenance, disposal containers, transportation, disposal of removed sargassum at permitted sites. Very, very important. You know, we have a legal responsibility to dispose of the sargassum correctly. And then accounting for payment processing, payroll management, tax payments. This project is a not-for-profit. So all of the people who are organizing this, people like myself, we do so on a voluntary basis. It's a community project. We're your neighbors. You know, we're not an external company. Nobody's making any money off of this. This is for our community, for the better good of all of us. And we're happy to do what we do and happy to donate our time. So that's how this is. What it is, though, is it's a community project. So it's our project, you know, for all of us. It's all of our project. So it solves a lot of our problems. Sargassum barrier combined with regular beach cleanups is the most effective and practical solution on the market today. The Oceanus crew, who Scott had an interview with last week, also confirmed it. Everybody we speak to, Ivan Peña is a key member of our team, and he is on all of these working groups for the entire Caribbean, all these people specializing, you know, the environmentalists specializing in solutions, the government groups specializing in solutions, the manufacturer and provider groups. He's in regular contact with everybody. So we know that we have the most effective solution for Half Moon Bay, for the shape and geography of Half Moon Bay that is available on the market. Our infrastructure will give us consistency. One of the main problems that we've been having is our inconsistency with beach cleanup. And over the last 10 years, it's been tried over and over again. Like ADMAC, the group of property managers, tried to do like a cohesive group to, you know, get economies of scale on renting trucks. Nan Armstrong did a really good job of heading that group. But over time, it just falls apart. You know, like the buildings, they say they're going to do it, and then it's not done consistently, and then the neighbor stops doing it, and then everybody just loses faith in it and stops doing it. And now we're here in 2025, and our beach is the worst we've ever seen it ever. And it's because we've been unsuccessful with cleanup. So this solution means that it's one group doing the whole cleanup. We're not dependent on the neighbor cleaning. The property managers don't have to organize it. They don't have to worry about not being able to get a guy with a truck. Because we hear that from the property managers when we say, why didn't you clean? You had authorization to clean. And they say, I couldn't get guys. I couldn't get a truck. I couldn't get staff. I couldn't get a team. So that will eliminate all of that problem that we have. If we have a neighbor who's not contributing and who's not cleaning and not pulling their weight, that beach will get cleaned too. So the whole beach will be done. You know, it's a group effort. And unfortunately, there'll be people who won't participate, but you know, what can we do? We can't do nothing. You know, we're just going to do the whole thing. Removes hassle at a building level. Property managers don't need to do anything. All you need to do is commit to the payment and make the payment, and that's it. Whole bay solution means we'll improve the health of our environment and our tourism reputation. People are coming to the coast. The Cancun airport is showing like really good numbers coming in through the summer months. This year's been a bit lower for other reasons, but all of the previous years, Cancun airport has been solid through the summer. They're just not coming to Half Moon Bay. Okay. This will greatly lower costs. Eco Protection Akumal is a registered not-for-profit run entirely by volunteers. So we're not paying profits into there's no company who's profiting from this. Like, it's a purely not-for-profit. It costs what it costs. If that's the price, that's the actual price of what it costs. We can give tax-deductible receipts both in the United States and in Mexico for contributions to this. We already own a high-quality sargassum barrier. We've already got one. It's paid in full. You know, it's sitting there, you know, ready to get fixed and get used. And, you know, that was a big investment on behalf of the community. So we're already, you know, like really well into this. Like, this is a solution that we can do because we have the resources in our community. We also have the operational systems in place. By centralizing beach cleanup, we leverage economies of scale. So if we do it all in a winner, we hire a team, and then the cost to do it is less per cubic meter than trying to do it individually by building and renting trucks on an ad hoc basis. So this will reduce the overall cost for all of us. Okay, so the planning's done. What we need from the community is commitment, and we can move forward with this project. So this is what we need from you guys. Here it is. This is the bottom line, right? In order for us to roll this out in 2026, we plan to deploy it in February. In order to deploy it in February, we want to order those parts from the supplier in Europe and have the barrier repaired this fall, right? So we need, by probably within the next couple of weeks, we need you guys to talk about it together as a building and as a community. And we need you guys to commit to the budget, right? So each building needs to commit to the budget. What we need, first of all, is just for you to say, yes, we're in, right? So what we're looking at is, when I say it's about 150 to 200 bucks per condo per month, we're looking at a budget of about $1,500 to $2,000 per month per building, because the average number of condos in a building in Half Moon Bay is about 10. Some of them have less. La Bahia's got 8. The Reef's got 6. But then you've got the likes of Luna Azul and you've got Playa Caribe who've got considerably more than that. Log Canav's got 11. You know, so about 10, that's where the budget's coming from. So what you need to decide is if your building will commit to paying between $1,500 and $2,000 a month for the year. We're also, I need to say, on this project, we're not doing monthly payments anymore, because what happened last year is there was a whole bunch of people said, yep, we're in, we're going to do this. And then they didn't. Some never paid a dime. They committed to it. We rolled out the project and then they just didn't pay the invoices that were sent to them. Some paid for a bit and then didn't pay the rest. Some paid less than what they'd agreed to. So in order to run this project, the way it's going to be billed is in 2 sections. So the first payment will be by the end of August, and we need 30% of the budget in order to do this. So what you'd be looking at is a special assessment at your building of between $4,000 and $5,000, which would break down to about $400 or $500 per condo based on a building of 10. So what you need to let us know is, first of all, do you want to do this, right? Bearing in mind what the budget is. Secondly, can each owner put in between $400 and $500 by the end of next month into this project to get this going, which is 30% of the budget. The balance of the budget will be due at the end of December. And we thought this would be more comfortable for you guys because you'll get your Christmas rentals in. So there'll be funds available to do that. And this is based on between 800 to 900 cubic meters of Sargassum, which would be 2021 numbers. If there is a surplus, this is a not-for-profit project. If there's a surplus, the money will roll over into the following year. Full accounting is provided at any time that anybody wants to ask for it. We're completely transparent. Payments needed to ensure that we can buy the equipment to do this project, and also to ensure that EPA can run the actual cost, the annual cost to run the project. Because the problem is when people don't pay what they committed to pay, then we end up halfway through the year and then we don't have funds to run the project. So this time we need to insist on 2 payments as shown on this slide here, so that we can run the project. We don't have to worry about ending up short halfway through the year. Does that make sense? Because yes, as I said, it's a not-for-profit. There's no extra in this. You know, there's no profit. There's no, there's no fat to cut. Like, it is what it is. And if the project isn't funded by the community, the costs still happen. Like, we still need to pay the guys to maintain it. We still need to pay the cost to put it in and take it out. And then when it's not in the water, we still need to pay the cost for the rental facility, and it ends up being the people running the project that have to fork out of pocket to pay for it. And that's not fair. So the way that we're going to do it is 30% down by the end of August, and then the rest of it needs to be paid by the end of the year.
Have you guys calculated for those buildings that have specifically stated they will not commit any money? I won't name names, but I know certain places have said they want nothing to do with this.
Yeah, exactly. So the price to run the project is the price to run the project. It's 3.78 million pesos, which is about $210,000. 2027 will be cheaper because we don't need to buy the ATVs. But factoring that in, my estimate is that it's going to be $1,500 to $2,000 per building per month, which averages out to about, on the average building, about $150 to $200 per month.
Okay.
So it'd be $2,400 for the year. So you need to pay a third of that up front, which is about $400 or $500 per condo by the end of August, and then the rest of it in December. But the idea is that in December, you'll get your high value rentals, your Christmas rentals, so there'll be some funds there. Yes, Scott.
So just following up on Christy's question, you've sort of prorated this based on who's most likely to be part of this.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So when I'm quoting like 150 to 200 per condo, I've looked at what we have successfully collected previously. So the people who did contribute, do you know? So like if just the core that contributed before contribute again this time, then it's gonna be about $200 a month, right? Per condo, about $2,000 a month per building. If more people contribute, it will be less, you know, because it costs what it costs, and the more people that join in, the better it is for everybody. If there are people who continue to not participate in the project, then it will be like we're estimating that we'll get the people who've contributed before, if they want to move forward this, are the people who contribute with it to this again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mariki, is there any way that you can send out communication that breaks down the cost, the date deadline, and how much you need for each building? Just because I know Playa Caribe, and I put this in the chat, but Playa Caribe's, our HOA meeting isn't until Saturday the 23rd.
Right.
So we won't be voting on any budget until then. However, if some of this data and cost gets sent out to our team, our executive team, which I am not on, but if we can get that to them, then maybe they can at least do a vote, because I know we do have a contingency fund. So
yeah, I know you guys have been putting away money for Sargassum, which is amazing. I think that's really great that your building's been doing that.
Yeah, and we've had a hard time hiring people. We can always take that conversation offline, but that's why, I mean, it's so daunting right there in front of our building. So,
yeah.
But yeah, if you can communicate the cost and the deadlines, what you need, why you need it by that particular time, that would be helpful.
So in order to do that, Christy, what I need by the middle of the month is we need the community, we need everybody to speak about this together as owners and say, is this a project that we are interested in supporting, right? And the rough estimate is going to be that it's between $1,500 and $2,000 per month per building to run this. So say on the basis of that, is this something that we're interested in? And if you come back to me and say yes, and we get several other buildings doing exactly the same, then I can say, okay, right, all of these properties have confirmed that they are interested in doing this. And then I can tell you on that basis what it will be per building, because then I'll be able to see how many people will contribute, and then how many ways that 210K will be divided. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I might take it offline with you and Scott.
Okay.
That way we don't bore everybody with just our building stuff. So,
but the deadlines are by mid-August, which is just over 2 weeks from now. We need an indication from each building, whether you're participating or not on that financial basis, right? By the end of August, so the end of next month, we would need to receive 30% of the budget from your building. But we would be able to confirm by the 3rd week of August exactly what the number is going to be, so that you can approve or decline it.
Right.
Yeah. But we just need verbal commitment by the middle of the month.
Okay.
Yep.
Marika.
Yes.
I don't understand how some buildings would not want to participate. I mean, whether they participate or not, I guess they're getting the end result. But and I don't understand. I mean, I know we can't force anybody, but I mean, is there some kind of, social pressure or community pressure that can be put on them to realize that, your neighbors are paying, and Linda and I have not been part of this community too long. I mean, we got in around 2020 and we paid towards the barrier and everything, even though, we're not on Half Moon Bay. So there's got to be a way to get through to these buildings, or the building manager or whoever it is that can set a rule for the entire building. Everybody pays a condo fee, I'm sure. So this has to be something that the manager of the building or whoever does the budget can force on their building. we can't
man-
force it, but they can probably force it.
The manager of the building will never do it because they're hired management that can easily be replaced. So who it needs to be is the homeowners association, right? So
Right.
in the condo buildings, there are rules, there are rules regarding like you vote on it, right? You vote together, and if you guys vote in a majority to do this, then the building should do it. There have been people causing trouble with that, looking for loopholes. They're saying it's the federal zone, so it's not really their deeded space, but as a beachfront property, we all have federal zone concessions. I mean, I'm the same as you, Elias. I'm like, why would somebody not want to do this, right?
Because it's destroying their property. There's destroying their value.
I think for some people, like for the buildings that have been cleaning, and paying the money to clean, they go, oh my God, yeah, this makes absolute sense, right? Because we're spending all this money. This is going to drastically reduce what we'll have to spend to keep it clean. For the buildings that have paid absolutely nothing all these years, then like some of them are like, oh, we don't want to pay that. But what I would really stress is that the average 2-bedroom condo has lost about $7,000 in rentals over the summer. 7,000. Right. Even if you made half of that back, it would more than pay for this.
Right.
So I think people view it as a cost, but it doesn't have to be. If we can get our summer rentals back, the summer rentals will cover it. And the other thing is, I have a lot of owners telling me, they say, I need to rent my condo through the high season in order to cover costs. And they want to use it in the quieter months, like the summer and the fall, and they can't because it's disgusting, so they can't use their condo. So it will allow them, to be able to use their condos again. So
and eventually the beach will erode, their buildings might start crumbling, like, falling like they did in Miami. And now what do they have? So there has to be some preventative maintenance done here. Scott's got his hand up for
No, for sure. No, I've just been thinking, well, and I put this in probably several of my emails as well. We can market ourselves as a town, as a destination that has their shit together, for lack of a better word, right now, and is working the problem. And I mean, I can envision signage around town. I mean, especially if we have a better quality beach in future years, we can post photos of what it used to look like in 2025 in signage. We can also basically build a community campaign around big projects like this, promote them in our properties, highlight properties that are involved, and also take donations from our tourists as well. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
Is it possible to speak?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm very, very unclear about what that chart of expenses was for. Is that repairing the barrier, buying all the equipment, and getting the Sargasso people? And is that an all-inclusive thing, or is that just for repairing the barrier?
Babe, can you go back to your presentation?
Yeah, it's everything. It's the whole shebang.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's everything. So this budget, so what we're going to do is with that 30% of the budget for 2026 that we need to have by the end of August, that money is going to go towards repairing the barrier. So there'll be no additional cost to repair it. So we'll repair it with that money. We'll buy what we need to repair it. We'll start buying the equipment that we need to operate. Because obviously before we run the project, we're going to be trialing it for several months beforehand. So we're going to be trialing the ATVs, and we're going to be trialing, like those solutions to make sure that when the seaweed starts coming in, that, we're up and running and we're not having any limits to our capabilities. So the 30% of the budget for 2026 includes the repair of the barrier. The total budget includes the barrier, so the operating of the barrier. So that's deployment, maintenance, all of that kind of stuff. It includes complete beach cleanup based on 800 to 900 cubic meters of sargassum per lot per season, which is about 20,000 cubic meters for the bay. It includes the staff, it includes all of their safety gear, it includes their social security, it includes all of that. It's the whole thing. That's the total cost.
And at some point, the government might also step in and hopefully contribute, and some of this cost might be even less, right?
So, yeah, I mean, I think if we can get them in periodically throughout the season as well to help on beach cleanup, I mean, of course, like that's always the goal too. And in having more regular direct communication with them, that will really help.
Our aim is also, like, that's an interesting point that you mentioned that, Elias, because that we are planning as well to liaise closely with the government, because sometimes they'll lend us containers, you know, so sometimes we can get them to donate us containers. So, and if there's any money left over from that 210K at the end of the year, then that just rolls into next year and we can do it for cheaper next year. You know, or we have just a little extra slush fund in case we get a really heavy year like this year. But, you know, we will collectively decide as a community how we want to run that. But it's not for profit. So the numbers are all there. You know, it costs what it costs, and anything that's not spent, you know, will sit there in the bank account until we decide, you know, what to do with it.
Yeah. And like, I mean, from a numbers standpoint, there are other providers that can do and recommend this same solution. It's going to be more expensive. I mean, because anyone else operating this will not be a group of volunteers from our community. It's going to be an outside company, and they're going to charge administrative fees and profit and all of that as well.
Oh, this is great that you guys are taking this up, and I hope everybody appreciates what you're doing.
Thank you. It's a lot of work. It has been over the years.
Yes.
Hey, Marike, John Webb here.
Hi, John.
I can't be the only person that noticed that if this works at this cost or higher or hopefully less, and if most people can contribute to it, that we have a marketing advantage for everybody in Half Moon Bay that rents their condos over everybody else in Quintana Roo. I mean, there's
I think so
that are terrible, and you know, and I mean, we don't rent our place too much, and we're not on. We would like to get access to a little more of it, but I mean, you know, there's a marketing advantage here that we should take advantage of, particularly people that are right on the bay. And I also want to add my thanks to you, the two of you, for leading this effort and recognizing that it's whatever the solution is, it has to be all of those things. It has to be everything, right? Cleanup and barrier and you know and everything. And the more people, and I would also, I don't know how we do this, but if there was a policy of shaming people that don't participate, I'd be in favor of that too.
We all know who they are.
Yeah, no. I mean, from a marketing standpoint, and I think I need to put this out more. I put it in at least one email, but basically, going into the future, we can either be known for what the Bay looks like in 2025, or we can be known for being a community that's working the problem, that has a much better quality beach, that doesn't stink when you drive through, no matter where you're staying. And yeah, for sure. And I really think if we put signs outside those buildings, highlighting those properties, market the project inside units and villas as well, I mean, we can really get the word out, and social media, of course, because that's how everyone knows that Sargasso is all up and down the coast, is because they check it on Facebook and Instagram. So if we start a marketing campaign of Akumal's good on Sargasso, I mean, we can definitely improve all aspects of town for sure.
Excuse me, where are you planning on getting the people to man these ATVs and actually do the Sargasso cleaning? Because right now, these cleaners seem at a real premium. I mean, there's Juan and somebody else named Roger. How do you plan to find a stable staff to do the work? Because right now, they don't seem available.
We have a really good network. And we have a large network of people who are involved in projects like this, and they're able to help us. to find good quality people. Also, what most guys are looking for is a stable income. You know, like if you give him a job for a day or 2 days, you know, and then somebody else gives him a job for 5 days, he's going to prioritize that other guy, right? But if we can give them a job for the season, for the entire season, then we're going to get much better tenure from these guys. You know, and obviously, as you can see, we're treating them properly. We're not just getting guys off the side of the road and paying them some cash and giving them a sandwich halfway through the day. Like they're getting their, you know, their medical care, they're getting social security, you know, they're getting their protective equipment, you know, they're getting proper training. So, you know, it's a more attractive position, you know, for somebody like that. So we feel that we're going to have better luck attracting people and having retention of people based on that.
And also, you talk about trialing your ATVs. Are you 100% sure they will work on Akumal Bay, or is this something that remains to be seen?
There is no way to know if it works 100% until you trial it, right? So what the plan is that we would trial it with one first, but we're 95% sure that they will, because we've researched it and we've looked at other communities that are using the same system.
Okay, is it possible to rent the equipment before we invest and buy it?
Possibly.
I mean, that would make a lot more sense. You know, if we find that it's just a good idea and it really doesn't work well on our bay, on our beach, it's better to have something we rented than we have an ATV with money sunk into it.
Yeah,
so
we've done the research behind this. You know, it's not like a finger in the air kind of
right. But till you get until you get onto the battleground, you really don't know what the thing is going to do. So I would recommend a rental rather than a purchase at first.
I think that's a really good suggestion. Thank you.
I hope so.
Yeah.
On the marketing side, just to unify our community, I've had the luck of seeing the turtles both lay their eggs and the hatchlings coming out. And I think that's just such a priceless moment that if we could somehow clean the bay and promote those to not only locals, but also tourists. I don't know if a website can be put up as to, okay, nest number 34 is going to be hatching, or you know, there's a turtle sighting, come out and take a look, or whatever. I think that could create a big buzz and help with some of the summer rentals, because that's when the turtles come and that's when the whole thing happens, the cycle. So that could also maybe help the occupants on the bay who are renting out their units to be able to get more traction. So I think a whole bunch of things can be done on that end of things to attract more people and help our neighbors rent out their units more and help pay for this cost.
Great ideas. Great ideas.
Good suggestion. Yep. Does anybody have any questions about the project? Does everybody feel comfortable with what the proposition is?
Yes.
Yeah. And does anybody have any questions about the numbers?
I just have a question. Why are we paying lunch to full-time workers every day? Just because of how hard the job is, or?
Yeah. Is that for the cleanup crew? Oh, for the overall project.
Is it for Zophamat, or is it for, is your
I think it was on one of your slides.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's a thing that you do in Mexico, you know, when they're working. Okay. Also, they're in Half Moon Bay, so there aren't you know, inexpensive places to eat on Half Moon Bay. You know, like they can't afford to go to La Lunita or La Buena Vida for lunch, you know. So,
right, yeah.
Yeah, so we provide, and when it's like a sandwich and a juice, do you know, like it's nothing extravagant. We're not, you know, but that, like, it's quite normal when people are doing manual labor that we provide an inexpensive lunch for them as part of their remuneration.
Okay, no worries. Just curious.
Yeah, but it's common here. You know, if you go to building sites, all the construction guys, usually the developer or the foreman arranges for a car to come and serve them all lunch, you know, on the building site. So it's quite common that manual labor has lunch included.
Yeah.
So could you I'm a little confused on how much I need my building to commit for and how much you need the end of August or the end
Right.
of
So by the middle of right, so this is going to cost, we estimate, between $1,500 and $2,000 per building. So say $2,000, right? Just go at the high end.
$2,000 per month.
Per month per building, but we won't be billing it monthly, right? We're going to be billing it in two parts. 30% will be due the end of August and the rest of it in December. Because that way we know that when we go into January, then we have the money to run this project for the year.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So 2,000 a month, 30% for August and 70% by December.
End of December. Yeah, 30% end of August, 70% end of December.
Okay.
That actually makes a lot of
that
makes a lot of sense financially from a rental standpoint, because everyone's been paid for their Christmas and New Year's rentals, and they can go ahead and invest that and then not have to worry about it in low season.
Yeah. And also, if you're paying taxes on your rentals, you can use this as a deduction because we can give you a tax receipt.
So it's good for end of the year consolidation.
Yeah, because here in Mexico, we declare monthly. So in December, that's when you want to have all your expenses. You know, you want to buy all your toilet paper and all that kind of stuff in December because you've got the biggest income. You want to have the biggest expenses in December. I don't know how everybody's set up fiscally, but you know, there is a benefit to that as well.
And this is just for the next year
this is
okay,
for
yep.
2026. We're pretty confident that for 2027, we can run this budget at, hang on, let me get back to the slide.
Yeah. Just to go back to this year, Christy, we're still looking at ways to save money, but right now we're basically looking at by a truckload basis.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a lot of truckloads for each and every building. And I'm talking to people on the ground and I'm messaging people. And of course, we've got the new owners group where we're all sharing messages. It sounds like Playa Caribe is going to start cleaning up here soon. And I just keep talking to the other buildings as well. It's totally overwhelming, right? And I totally understand that. And we've got a ton of Sargasso all the way up to Tortuga and Mirage, where in some years we just don't get that much. So it's a lot. It's going to take a lot of investment from all of us. But I truly believe if we don't start tackling it now, it could still be there at Christmas. So we really do need to start chipping away at it.
The bay for sure will still be brown by Christmas because the bay takes about 3 or 4 months to flush because it doesn't flush well. So even if you get all that rot off the beach, that bay is going to stay brown for ages. So like something needs to be done in order to have it looking healthy by the high season.
Yeah. And anytime I get quotes for containers, or when I get this quote for this pumping system, if they're ready to come in, or if we get sofa mat back out, I'll be posting all of that on the community group so that everyone's aware, so that any money saving opportunity that we can, we'll use for sure. Like all of us.
37.
Vecinos is also taking donations. And I've not started sending out trucks yet, just because I'm trying to get some quotes for some possibly cheaper options. But I do want to start putting that money to work as well here very soon.
Yeah. And that link, Scott, that I sent you, I can't take credit for that. That was something David, I don't have his last name, put on that Akumal Norte.
Oh, yeah.
So I was looking at it, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So
for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely David. I mean, if
David Thomas. Yeah, thank you, David.
Yeah, so it might be, it looked like it was a company that's created something out of Sargassum, but then it looks like they have a sub business of coming in and cleaning up. So
that's great.
I'm like, if they make the product, maybe we can come to some sort of agreement and arrangement. Like, here, have the
Right.
sargassum, give us
Yeah.
a discount for cleaning it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
for sure, for sure.
Did
So there's a biofuel facility being built in Cancun. If we could just get one of those out behind Akumal Pueblo
Right.
to just process everything that comes out of Akumal, then we'd be golden for sure.
Have they started the construction of that?
I'm not sure.
I don't think they have.
I've seen several articles. It's been announced, but
It
it could be
hasn't.
next year. It could be the year after that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Has anybody spoken to a gentleman named Israel? He works at the Reef. I do not
Yes.
know him personally. Okay.
Mhm.
Because I guess he'd mentioned that he knows of like 10 guys that want work. I
Yep.
know nothing about it. It was
Israel,
just
Israel Chair is, yes. Yeah, we're in regular contact with him.
okay, awesome.
Yep. Yep. What we need to do, yeah. So maybe there would be a way for Scott to be able to put together a team just to do some digging. I just see though it's difficult right now. We had 60 guys on the beach, and and the impact from their visit wasn't super high. But if they can come back again, Ivan Pena has been amazing with this because he's the guy with all the contacts. So Ivan Pena is the project manager for EPA.
Yeah.
He also works with Oceanus. So, and he's just ridiculously well connected with all of this. So he's the guy that's been instrumental in us getting Zofamat in the past. You know, EPA
Yes.
was able to get Zofamat 5 times last year. But, you know, the problem is with the Zofamat crew is when there are inundations on the public beaches, Zofamat is a government crew and the government sends them to the public beaches. Our beach is not a public beach. There's no public beach access. So they handle the public beaches in the areas with highest population first. And like we're at the bottom of the list. So for us to get them at all is nothing short of a miracle. And thanks to Ivan Pena.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and that's understandable. We're private, so
Yeah.
So this that we're seeing on the screen right now is going to be cleanup for the whole Half Moon Bay, not
Yep.
just part of it. And if buildings don't contribute, will the Sargassum in front of their buildings not be cleaned, or what? How is that going to be handled?
The whole
So-
beach will be clean. It'll be clean from we're looking at the high impact zone, which is La Buena Vida to La Mirage, which is the area that receives the most sargassum. If there's a little bit to the north of Mirage, then we can handle that as well. But usually it doesn't go up much past there. Even buildings that aren't cleaning, we're going to clean all of it because the people who've been really diligent at cleaning their beaches, all the garbage from their neighbors' lots are just washing into theirs. So the only way to do it properly is to clean the whole beach. Like the whole beach gets cleaned. It's a holistic program. Yeah, we've got one entity coming in. We organize the crews and we just clean the whole beach. And remember, I'll caveat this, no solution is perfect. Nothing is perfect. So, you know, there will be times when the inundation is really heavy, you know, that there might be a little bit of sargassum on the beach. But the point is that we don't have these big rotting piles and that the bay is not black. That's what we're aiming for. We're aiming for it to be as clean as possible.
Now,
So
Susan,
this amount is just this money that we're looking at right here is just for beach cleanup, not anything to do with the barrier.
No, this is for the beach cleanup and the barrier and all of the logistics that go behind it because it's a combined solution.
Okay.
So it's for the whole shebang.
Yeah.
Because the point of we can't clean the beach for that price without the barrier. We can't, because the barrier, more than double the seaweed will come in if we don't have a barrier, and it'll be like the cost will be off the charts. So what we're doing is we're deflecting as much seaweed back out to sea as possible, and then to make the beach come to a manageable level, and then we're going to clean up the beach, you know, with using the budget that we have there. So this budget is for the barrier and the beach cleanup and the repair of the barrier and all of the equipment that we need to do this.
So Susan, if you're just joining, this is being recorded as well. So I'll put this up here soon so that you can go back and watch the entire discussion and presentation from Marika.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Question. Can I speak?
Yes.
What about, you have people, you find the people to clean the beach. What about trucks and containers? Are you going to buy those, rent those, or where?
We'll rent them.
You're going to rent the trucks?
Yes. We're going to rent. We're not planning to use trucks. We're planning to use containers. So what will happen is the container provider will bring the container and we'll fill it up, and then they'll take it away and dispose of it in an authorized disposal place. We're not buying containers.
Okay, where are the people who do this? Are there companies who provide and haul?
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. And also, there's companies on the coast, so we've already factored that into the quote.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And we'd plan to have probably 2 containers in our community at any given time. So what we would need is assistance with a place to park them. The plan is that they'll be filled within 2 days, 2-3 days maximum, and then they'll be removed. So they shouldn't be stinky. They're usually hermetically sealed containers, so they don't leach. Any liquid coming out of the sargassum doesn't leach into the ground out of the container. And the provider will deposit the container, we'll fill it up, and then they'll take it away and bring us a clean one.
All of this is assuming that people do the fundamental cleanup of the berms.
Well, no, so this is for next year. This is the project we're talking about is 2026.
When the barrier's been installed and everything is going as it should be, this is what you hope to institute.
Exactly.
So for now, people just need to do it on their own.
Yes.
Currently, yes. Well, yeah. And I'm looking into, all of us are trying to find ways to save money. So it's not just truckloads, by hiring containers to come in as well, and possibly bigger crews and other technology to start getting rid of the sargasso that's currently on the beach.
And you will communicate this to the HOA presidents and the boards.
Right. Yeah. And through our big community WhatsApp group now. Yeah.
Yeah, but the people who really have the decision-making power are the HOAs and the boards. So I think it needs to be formally sent out, not just kind of talked about.
Yes.
Yes. However, our HOA doesn't have the budget to tackle cleanup. We are taking donations from owners who are not so heavily affected, and some people on the bay as well. But some people not on the bay have donated to help pitch in for cleanup. So it's going to be supplemental cleanup coming from vecinos. But yes, I'm kind of spearheading all of this. So yeah, I will definitely be sending out communications for everyone.
Yeah, because I know our building has paid for every cent of its cleanup by ourselves.
Yes,
for a long time,
way more than should have been. Absolutely.
Well, I don't know.
Go ahead. I think Playa Blanca is a really exemplary example. A really good building, has been dedicated to this, and I'm really impressed. And I applaud Playa Blanca. So well done, you guys.
But I don't know why other buildings just can't either be encouraged or threatened into doing what we did.
Yeah, no, I've been trying to encourage for sure.
No, encouraging is step one. If it doesn't work, then there are threats. I have a different. I understand
the sargasso on their property if they don't participate in cleanup.
Yeah. or across the street, or stenciled into the road in front. Yeah. It's a tough situation, and it's been like this for 10 years. The best thing that we can do is get as many of us on board as possible to work the problem. And I know I'm being overly diplomatic. I know.
And it's an organic solution. Like we've been learning year after year about what works and what doesn't work. We've been learning we thought originally leaving the seaweed on the beach was good for it helped to prevent beach erosion. And we found out that we were 100% wrong. It does the opposite, in those quantities. We used to bury the seaweed on the beach that collapsed the dune and caused these weird yellow outflows, when it was rotting. We've tried so many different things, and You know, it's been an evolution, and I know that we'll continue to evolve as a community and, you know, find better practices and better ways to do this as we go through this. So, but this is, you know, where we are with the 10 years that we've got under our belt so far. And I think, you know, I think we've got a good solution here. And I hope that you guys and, you know, the community as a whole agree. Because, yeah, hopefully we can get some comparable quotes from companies, other companies as well, to handle it, just so you can see. But just because the fact that this is being run as a not-for-profit, you know, like I don't know if we'll get it at a better price. And also, it's not being like although we're a bunch of neighbors doing it, the people that have been involved in the development of this strategy are, you know, are leaders in their field of, you know, coastal management and, you know, oceanography and you know, and knowing and surface cleanup. You know, they're people who know what they're doing. It's not, you know, we're not guessing. It's not been a finger in the air kind of project. But like anything, I mean, I have to say, even the barrier, the first year we got the barrier in May, June, we got it out. And we did some configuration tweaking because, you know, obviously, you know, you learn to improve it and modify it as you go along. And when we retrieved it in September, it was working really well. You know, and then last year we weren't able to test it properly. So, you know, I'm really excited to get a proper full year of getting it out in February and running it the whole season, you know, and having like tangible results from there.
Yeah. I would just like to say, I mean, I've been really digging into all of this lately, trying to compile information, just how much sargasso is on the beach. I mean, it would take me years to put all this information together. Marike and Alex and Leanne and everybody else who works on that project have been working for years on this, and they have so much collective knowledge. I mean, it just makes sense to have them present and to hear what they have to say.
Thank you. Does
Do
anybody
we have any last questions?
Questions about this?
I think Jody has a question, but she's having issues unmuting herself.
Okay.
Jody. If I can find
Jody
her.
Bridges.
Let's see if I can find her. Hang on. Oh, Jody, you're not muted. Is your volume up? Do you want to type your question into the chat, Jody? You're not on mute, so we should be able to hear you.
Jody wanted to know how to contribute. She says, understanding transferring money from USA to Mexico is not easy. That was her question.
Oh, okay. Well, for EPA side of things, that would be a building probably issue together. Yeah. If Jody, if you want to make donations for current cleanup, like I would honestly suggest if Luna Azul can just focus on starting to work on their 20 meters. I mean, that's probably going to be the biggest help at this point. And I'm taking donations for supplemental cleanup, but they are rolling in. It's not a huge amount, but I do hope that once we start working on that, that more will come in.
This year's been a crazy year for seaweed, and I just wanted to put into some perspective. If we were to have cleaned our beach this year with trucks and kept it clean, which would have been, I don't know if we would have managed it because I don't think there's enough trucks available to rent. But with the quantity of sargassum that has come in so far this year and is projected to come in for the next couple of months, would have cost, with the current solution that we're using, $1 million to clean it up. And the current solution I refer to is shoveling it up and put it in 5 cubic meter trucks and trucking it away. That would have cost us $1 million. Yeah, I mean, it's not
just too much.
No, it's too much to come in. It's too much seaweed coming in. Like we have to. All of the environmentalists agree. You got to keep the seaweed out of the bay, as much of it as possible. Keep it off the beach. Keep it out of the bay, because our bay doesn't flush. Once it comes in, it's impossible to get it back out again.
Yeah, this is basically the 2-3-part solution that everyone is recommending, and that any of the beaches up and down the coast who are managing their beaches well are implementing. we are going to continue to look at other proposals from other companies, but right now, this one is here on the table for us to consider as a community.
And like, I want to say as well, this is a volunteer, you know, we all do this on a voluntary basis. So if you guys choose to go with a big professional company, like our feelings will not be hurt. Right? We'll just pay like everybody else and it will be okay. But, you know, obviously what we want to do is have the best solution at the best price for our community. And we're willing to put the legwork in for you guys to do this. But please do, like, you know, I'm all about listening to what the big providers can offer as well. So.
Yeah, and we should really look at protecting Yalku for the future as well. Yalku Lagoon doesn't have nearly as many properties on it, but we can start the conversation with the parks there, Xcaret and Aventuras Maya, and all of the homeowners and the greater Akumal community, and try and find a really good solution for that as well, to manage Sargasso going in there. So things to work on.
Does Yalku already have a barrier?
No, it does not.
Okay.
It's got a rope and some buoys, but it's basically just, it's sort of a limit for the tour groups to just not snorkel out toward the ocean, because they're all on time frames for their tours. But it's not it doesn't stop anything.
Okay.
It's just a rope. But yeah, but perhaps some deflection outside or a collection and pumping system inside could be a good solution for Yalku Lagoon. Collection and pumping would totally depend on volume and where to get rid of it. Deflection might be the best solution, and then some supplemental cleanup as well. Okay, I think we're coming to the end here. I want to thank you all for coming, and for being a part of this. Thank you all for your questions. Let's continue the conversation on our big chat group. And I'm going to put this up on the Vecinos YouTube space, so please share it around as well.
Thank you so much for both of you guys for all your work.
Thank you, guys.
You're special.
Oh, it's been a big team effort. It's not just us. There's a lot of people behind this. So yeah.
But you guys are taking the lead on it, and we appreciate that.
Thank you. Well, it's you know, it takes a village, right? I'm proud to be part of this one.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, can you guys stay on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it just us?
At the moment, no, there's lots of people still here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I just see 3 of you now.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
We can probably turn off the recording. Sorry, I got something in my throat.
But I think I have to, oh yeah, here we go.